Monday night football, baby. Monday nights. We are the Trifecta Sports Podcast. I'm Frank Spencer. I don't even have my name up in here. Oh, wait, I do. Never mind. I've got the ticker going across the bottom. I'm an idiot. I'm Frank. I'm with Dave here. Right there. That's Dave. Coop will be on very shortly. He will be a little late getting on here. We got a big week of news, talking points, just outside of fantasy, the world of fantasy. We're just talking about football today. Like, it also has fantasy implications because that's kind of our thing right now. But the first thing I want to talk about, Dave, is the Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers ordeal going on. Like, both of their teams suck tremendously. Just think about, put yourself in Tom Brady's shoes, and you see the memes all the time on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. It's like, I did not lose my family and Giselle to get beat by PJ Washington and the Carolina Panthers right after I got beat by who else? Who else beat him?
Oh,
Who lost to who?
they lost to the Packers, and then they lost to
Just
I
like
don't even know.
they got beat by somebody dumb.
Falcons, I think.
Yeah,
No, that was 49ers. I don't know. It don't matter.
I don't freaking know. They suck. Let's put it that way. Tom Brady should have retired. People on ESPN were like, "Is this going to taint his legacy?" No, it's not going to taint his legacy because we don't really think about Michael Jordan's time with the Wizards at all. Although you have to talk about Tom Brady's time with the Bucks because he won a championship with the Bucks, but his last couple years, I think this season may push him out a little bit further. He says he wants to play till he's 50, but I don't see it happening. As for Aaron Rodgers, I just think the dude is just tired of football. He doesn't look like he's having fun ever. There's zero smiles when he plays.
Yeah, I'd say it applies to both of them. It's their offensive lines, and their receiving core. I mean, the play of the game for the Bucks and the Panthers was when Mike Evans uncharacteristically dropped the 75-yard touchdown where there was nobody near him. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I could have freaking tripped over my feet and tapped it up to myself about 4 times and still had time to catch it and run in the end zone. So I think that right there just shows, it's I don't think it's a talent thing from Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I actually take the other stance. I think Brady, if he's getting a divorce, I think that opens the door for him to play for another 5 years.
Oh, yeah,
He's a true pocket passer guy. Watching Tua last night, the guy just had 2 concussions.
What a good story that was.
It was a good story, but then the guy said he's going to take care of himself, and he's just being a rusher and putting his head down, acting like he's Tim Tebow. Exactly. Yes. And that's the difference between a Tua and a Tom Brady. And that's why Tom Brady can play till he's 50, because he takes care of himself. I mean, TB12 is a brand altogether because Tom Brady is 45 years old and looks way better than both of us right now. So
speak for yourself, David.
I will. He looks better than me. I can admit it. But Rodgers, I kind of put him in the same boat too. I think the guy loves football. He just hates his situation right now. I think he got blindsided by Devontae leaving, and I think that totally would have changed his decision. I mean, we see the effects of it. Look at the Denver Broncos. They went and hired his OC, and they lost out on Rodgers, and now they suck. Now Rippon has to play instead of Wilson. So I think if anything, you're going to see Rodgers move teams, or he's going to demand a trade or something. And I think GM Brady's going to come out. People are always going to talk, well, when's Gronk going to make his return? But I don't know if Gronk's going to come back per se, but Brady's going to start dipping his hand in the honey pot, and he's going to start getting guys. The Julio Jones didn't work out, which everybody kind of could see.
I was hoping it did, though.
I mean,
it did.
That would have been a great story, but it's like, he gets hurt, So it's just, I think both guys are fine, but I think it's a a culmination of guys not making plays for him and just, I don't know. They've been to
Yeah.
the playoffs too much. They need some
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, we need other teams to chime in and do some things. Jane Hayes watching us live. Dave, what do you think about that, bud?
Oh,
Jane is David's mother. She is the nicest, most sweetest lady in the universe. Our probably number one fan overall. She's listened to us since day one, when we were absolutely garbage when it comes to talking through a microphone, having any kind of plan whatsoever going into the show. Like, I feel like we've got a lot better since then, but that's just me. But the Aaron Rodgers thing and the Tom Brady thing, we're seeing those. It's kind of sad because we're seeing those era of quarterbacks kind of fade out, and I put Russ Wilson in that category as well as Matt Ryan. We're going to talk about Matt Ryan here in a minute. He got benched. Not only did he get benched, he got demoted to like third string. Like he's damn near on the practice squad at this point. You got Sam Ehlinger starting over you, plus Nick Foles as the number 2. That should tell you something, dude. Like some other guys in there, with the Mac Jones going on tonight, that game. I think that's Bailey Zappi's team. I know Mac Jones is not an older guy; he's not on his way out, but I don't see a ton of Mac Jones. I don't think he's a great starting quarterback in the league. But those guys that we kind of grew up watching, they're fading themselves out, and it's the new crop. The Joe Burrows, the Lamars, Justin Herberts, Mahomes, Josh Allen. Those guys are taking over now, and the game is it's passing them up. Like, it's all about arm strength and athleticism now. And those guys were able to just sit back and pick apart defenses, but now you can't pick apart defenses because they're so good.
mm-hmm.
Now you have to actually out athlete people. You have to scheme to where you get your athletes open in space and let them work. You couldn't do that back in the day. And I may be biased because we're still young and we watch the current game of football, and like, it's better now than it was back then. And people they'll argue like, hey, back in the old days it was smash mouth. Yeah, it was because you had to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't have 3 wide receivers on your team that could go off for 150 a game at the same time. Like, you just don't have that. You didn't have that, 10 years ago. But I mean, you had like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. You had those guys on one team, but you didn't have 3 of them on the same team. You take Jamar Chase and put him with, hell, I don't know, Tony Romo 6 years ago. Tony Romo was an MVP. That's the kind of caliber of players that we have. I just think that they're fading their way out of the game. And from a fantasy standpoint, if you're an owner of Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady, are you happy with that? I wouldn't be.
I am ecstatic with myself right now because, I still have Brady in the league, but I just traded Aaron Rodgers in the league for Justin Herbert. So I overpaid, but I am, Herbert didn't have a great week, and I will still take Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers any game the remainder of the year. Russell Wilson, I'm sorry if you invested in him. It's just done. I think what they said, he has a torn.
You bought into the hype. I don't know. I haven't even looked. There's some players in the league, and like fantasy wise, I don't care. Russell Wilson's one of them. I've never had Russell Wilson on a fantasy team ever. I find it very hard to draft wide receivers that have Russell Wilson as their quarterback. That's kind of what I think of. When I pick a player in a draft, there's some teams and certain quarterbacks that I kind of stay away from. Russell Wilson's always been one of them.
Mm-hmm. And, historically, Russell Wilson's a strong first half of the year guy, and then, kind of historically falls off. I mean, he hasn't had an MVP vote for a reason, even though he's, been to 3 Super Bowls, won 1. So, but there is light at the end of the tunnel if you did invest in those guys. You just mentioned Sam Ehlinger. He had a really good preseason. Texas quarterback for about 8 years. He was the guy that was 30 years old. You can't believe this guy's still on the team. Yeah.
He's that guy.
He's a good guy. I mean, he was behind Carson Wentz, behind Matt Ryan. It wasn't ever a fact that he wasn't like good enough. It was just they brought in guys that were proven in the league, veterans, and I actually have him stashed on my dynasty league, and I'm pretty excited right now because we know we have the bye weeks coming. I think he's worth a start. I mean, he's throwing to Pittman Jr., he's throwing to Alex Pierce, he's got
Dubbing and also
Mo
Taylor.
Cox. Exactly. Like he's got targets. And I think, in a week where, this week was it's done, but for example, we had no Josh Allen, no Jalen Hurts, no Kirk Cousins. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks. There is more weeks out there where you're going to need a quarterback. Sam Eilinger might be a great pickup for you because he's a dual threat guy, and that Colts offense needs something to be rejuvenated.
Yeah, and moving on to the quarterbacks, they're kind of phasing their way out of the league. Carson Wentz over there, and Washington's the same. Taylor Heineke came in. They won this week, didn't they?
They did. They beat the Packers.
Taylor Heineke beat Aaron Rodgers. You're thinking about PJ Walker and Taylor Heineke beating Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in the same week in an NFL game.
XFL, baby.
It's a big,
XFL.
it's a big deal. Next week is all the XFL players are coming off the waiver wires in your fantasy leagues. So hop on them quick. Miss Jane, Coop is going to be on later. He texted us early and said that he is going to be a little late getting on. Not sure why, but I'm sure he has a good reason. So he'll hop on a little bit. Mr. Curly Wolf from YouTube has a question for us, Dave. He says, y'all like ETN or Kamara for JT? If it's an or question, I'd trade Kamara for JT right now. ETN, I don't know. He's now the feature back.
See, for me, I have to look it up, but if I have ETN and Kamara, I'm staying put. I did just buy JT in a league. The one I did JT and Justin Herbert for a second and Rodgers, and I'm going for the dub, but I had no running back help. My running back room was atrocious. I went wide receiver heavy. I'm pretty sure Etienne and Kamara have to be top 10. Kamara might not be with his injury stint and missing a couple games, but when he's healthy, that Saints offense is going through him, especially with the wide receiver room being what it is. JT, I don't want to buy on him right now, especially with Matt Ryan coming out.
I think I'm buying on him because Matt Ryan's coming out.
But you don't, I mean, I just praise Sam Eilinger, but at the same time, you don't know what that's going to do to that offense. Teams might just load the box and say, hey guys, we're stuffing 8 in the box. We're going to take away Jonathan Taylor, make the guy who's never played in the league beat us. So I don't know. I'm saying, in my personal opinion, I like Etienne and Kamara the same as JT currently. So I don't think you really need to trade for JT.
Well, Fantasy Pros has JT ranked 7th right now. They've got ETN is 21st, and then Joe Mixon not Joe Mixon, sorry. I was looking at Joe Mixon. Alvin Kamara is 9th. So you have a 9 and a 21, and you're going to trade one of them to get a 7.
But ETN just lost his handcuffs. I don't know if anybody's heard this tonight, but breaking news. James Robinson to the Jets.
Can you make that noise again, Dave?
So, awesome. I think that is huge for ETNs. The Jaguars have bought into his stock. They doubled down on his stock. And that's why I think ETN, I'm keeping him instead of going for JT right now.
Coop is smiling over there because he's got ETN and he got him from me. If he
and
wins
Ken
the trade,
Walker and Damian Pierce hit all the young running backs this year.
Well, you didn't hit on ETN. You traded me. I gave him to you.
He hit on it, Frank.
He didn't. It's not like he drafted him. He didn't draft him.
No, he swindled you for him.
No. Okay, Lamar Jackson outscored Justin Jefferson this week. I'll say that.
I had hoped to God he did.
Really?
Jefferson was on a bye week.
That's a good point. And Jackson was not good.
Yeah.
Jackson has scored 3 touchdowns in the 4 weeks I've had him, I think.
Yeah, so if I lose a trade, it's because I gave up ETN for him. I knew this was coming, Weaver. I was waiting on you, dude. DJ
Yeah.
Moore, fellas. It's a funny story because yesterday, throughout the day, I texted the boys and I was like, DJ Moore's having a hell of a day.
Yeah.
So,
Coop, I think I officially finally won our trade, though.
Yeah, Mike Williams out for question mark.
Yeah, we've got a lot of injuries to talk about. Like, we talked about the Breece Hall injury. That it sucks like so bad because that dude was on a freaking tear. And me personally, with everything that's happened with the Jets and the Jaguars right now, I'm kind of pissed off about it, honestly. Because I have Michael Carter, who I got in the trade with Coop. I was like, Breece Hall got hurt, sucks. I have him on my wife's team. Like, we drafted him together. He's done really good for her. She's doing great. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I got a feature back now in Michael Carter. And then all of a sudden I see the trade with James Robinson going to the Jets. And I'm like, damn it, there it goes. And then I think back in my head, oh shit, I had Travis Etienne too, and now he's gone. So I'm not happy right now. If you don't know, I'm not happy.
It's odd to me that they went and got a guy like James Robinson, because it seems like a feature back you're bringing in. And Michael Carter's been good. He was good last year. He was good to start the year. Like, do we think Robinson comes in and he's the first and second down guy right from the get-go? He gets the goal line work, or is he coming in to play kind of change of pace and back up to Carter?
I don't know. I really don't. I think they'll probably split pretty even, if I had to guess. Because I think, even Breece Hall and Michael Carter, Breece Hall was the lead guy, but Carter also got a lot of receptions. And he'd get 4 or 5 carries a game, but he would also get like 6 targets.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, he might luck into a touchdown on short yardage or, look for something like a check down that he scores, a 25-yard gain out of it. That's how I was getting points from Michael Carter. But with Robinson now, I don't know how that works because he kind of did they're kind of the same player, right? There's no compliment there.
Well, maybe that's just what they're going for. I mean, we are in uncharted territory for our generation of, holy crap, the Jets are good. They're not just like fluke wins. Like, they are actually beating teams like badly.
We forget that.
And the Giants, 6-1.
What is going on in New York?
But think about this, guys. Y'all remember? I remember when the Jets were good. Mark Sanchez took them to the playoffs.
They weren't good. They had a really good defense.
That's like saying I remember.
That means they're good.
That's like Dave calling out earlier the Bears when they were good. Like, they weren't good, but they made a run.
Rex Grossman took them to the Super Bowl. It was because they had Brian Urlacher. It wasn't because of what Rex Grossman was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh, we talked about Sam Ehlinger already earlier on in the show. We talked about a couple things. And what brought him up was our discussion on, like, the quarterbacks we grew up watching. Like, already you see, like, Peyton Manning gone, Drew Brees gone. All those guys are gone, and now Tom Brady, and it's Aaron Rodgers' turn. I throw Russell Wilson in the mix, too. He's not been there that long compared to the other guys, but he's been there quite the time when we've grown up liking and watching football consistently. And Matt Ryan is kind of in the same thing. Like, he's on his way out too. But we don't know the Pittman thing might be great. We don't know. Like, the dude's never has he thrown a pass in the NFL yet?
Ehlinger?
Yeah.
I know he's taken some kneel downs. I don't know if he's played. I don't know if he's had like legitimate snap, but he has played an NFL game before.
All right.
I'll find that out while you move on.
Yeah. Dave, what's another thing we got on that list? We got some injuries. We talked about Breece Hall's injury, how that's going to affect and how it affects me personally.
I think the other one we need to go to is the 49ers and CMC. I believe that happened after our last.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was a big one. I like that move because if you think about it, like, the 49ers have a very unique offense. Yeah, we've talked about Brady and Rodgers. They both suck.
Sam Ehlinger has not attempted a pass in the NFL. He has 3 carries for 9 yards and a first down. Those are his career stats.
There we go. But like, yeah, Christian McCaffrey over there in San Francisco, I feel like that's almost as perfect as a position you could put a running back in. We saw Jeff Wilson still being good. Elijah Mitchell coming out of nowhere. So like if those two guys who, I don't want to say they aren't as talented as Christian McCaffrey, but they're not as talented as Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like that guy that says, hey, he's better than you, but he's better than you. Debo value, I don't know. I think it's still there. I don't see it going away.
I think it gets better.
Dave,
because
go ahead, finish. Dave had a good point earlier before we got on. So
he's no longer a running back. Debo's not their other guy in the backfield. He can actually play wide receiver, and we know that receptions are worth more than carries. So I think based on that, he could see his fantasy points go up. You're watching the game, it might not feel like Debo's having the same impact because he's not getting as many touches. But I think his fantasy points could actually go up. And with the play Ayuk has had lately, like I don't know that you see Debo as their number one receiving threat right now. Like he's not the focus of defenses going into games at this point.
Yeah, so Dave hit on, a conversation he had with one of his friends about George Kittle. He's talk about what you talked about your friend.
Yeah, so, a lot of people are, the tight end situation's pretty gnarly right now. And George Kittle is no exception to that, where he's basically became just a lead blocker because that's what he's really good at. And I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he was like, I think I'm going to bench Kittle this week. He's not doing me anything, and I think there's more points there. And I was like, oh, don't do that. CMC is going to take more carries than, like a Jeff Wilson or something like that. But what he is going to do, which Coop just kind of touched on it, the best coverage linebacker is now going to have to be on Christian McCaffrey. That is going to free up Debo. It's going to free up Ayuk. It's going to free up Kittle. And, the one thing that Jimmy G is really good at is short slant throws, or they say he's really accurate inside 15 yards. And I think that's where, Debo and Kittle and Ayuk can all get that separation quickly, and then Garoppolo gets him the ball. Boom. I think we're going to get more fantasy production, at least out of Kittle. Debo will be time will tell. But I actually think this 49ers offense is extremely scary when they're all healthy.
Yeah.
It's just going to see how Jimmy G can, be that game manager to get them where they need to be, because clearly game one with CMC didn't go as they had planned.
No, and I think there's going to be like a little trial period there, and I hope, I don't care really, but they hope that it doesn't take him too long to get ingrained in the full scheme of the offense in order to get him truly involved, because, he's there for like 4 days. He's not going to, the NFL offenses are freaking like the Da Vinci Code. Like, just listen to one of them. There's so many things you have to learn. And the guys do it every day, but, it's going to take a week or two to get in the swing of things. But Monet here is not wrong. I don't think Jimmy G is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he is a great placeholder to get them consistent 10-win seasons, get them to the playoffs, and then attract a top tier quarterback at the end.
So you just said Jimmy G is the new Jared Goff?
Possibly.
So
very possible.
Who is a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the NFC? We don't think it's Rodgers and Brady this year. They both looked bad. Stafford's won one, but
Jalen Hurts?
No.
Is it, Jay?
It could be. It could be, but
who else is it going to be right now? You don't
Jimmy
see
G.
You don't
Daniel
see because it
Jones?
happened.
You guys hate Dak. I'm high on Dak. I think Dak.
I don't like Dak. Dak sucks.
But that's where I don't disagree that Jimmy G is not an elite talent at quarterback, but all the elite quarterback the way they're playing right now is in the AFC, with the exception of Hurts.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, the NFC is wide open. You have to get hot at the right time, and you walk to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
if you get there, it's one game.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be great. That defense is nasty.
Danny Dimes. Oh man. Yeah, for sure. Hunter, we see your comment, buddy. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in again. If you are on the stream today, we appreciate you watching and tuning in. If you're a returning viewer, we appreciate that as well. If you're new to the channel and you haven't watched us before, stick around, hang out for a little bit. Ask us some fantasy football questions if you haven't already. And then go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're at it. We go live every Monday night at 9:30 to talk fantasy football, all things
Eastern
football.
time, 9:30
Eastern time. Yeah, David's in Central time. He's weird. So it's like, what is it, 8:55 over there right now, Dave?
Oh yeah,
In the hills of Illinois that don't exist.
the plains of Illinois.
Hanging out next to the silos.
Yeah, they're getting full, boys. They're getting full.
It's harvest season.
Hell yeah, it is.
Does it have a different smell during harvest season in Illinois? I've always wondered that. Like outside air, does it just smell different?
I mean, it's that crisp fall air. It's more of there's a different sound because you get all the cars honking at the tractors in front of them, telling them to get the hell off the road.
I hate when people do that. Like,
they're doing that.
Oh,
It's a tractor. Be patient. Like, patient people, impatient people piss me off. Hunter, Brees Hall is going to be out for the year, unfortunately. Towards ACL, there's no way he's coming back. All right. How do you all handle unfair trades in your leagues as far as vetoing them, or when you decide? We had one big one over the weekend, seemed to have changed the league a little bit. Here's the thing. Do we have an option to veto trades in our league?
I've turned it off because I don't agree with it. My stance, and I think there's several people in the community that share this, if a trade is you deem as cheating, if there's collusion, then you have people in your league that are cheating and they need it kicked out.
That's exactly what Austin just said.
If they aren't cheating, then it's
and
their fault for
Austin's
making
in
a
our
bad
league
trade.
too.
Yeah.
So I think if you're in a league and everybody has the same opinions, first of all, in our league, it's hard as hell to make a trade, period. Let alone, making a bad one or some, people think you're cheating. The three of us plus Monet here, he says kick the dummies out, and Coop, you guys just at the same time simultaneously said the same thing. And that just goes to show you how we run our league. We have a group text. We talk about everything. When a big trade goes through, immediately somebody else that's not involved in the trade will pop on and say, "What the hell are y'all doing? Like, this is dumb." Yeah. Like they did to me. But I mean, if you're dumb enough to make a stupid trade, especially with two people that are contending for a championship. Now, here's the fishy thing. If you got a guy that's 0-6 or 0-7, and they're trading some good players for a guy that's 7-1 or 8-1 or whatever, that seems fishy to me. I don't know what to do with that. So
I think there's a fine line though, where I think Austin is got that first dub this week, Austin. Proud of you, buddy. You did it. You did it.
Golf clap for Monet. We have no more winless teams in the Bush League.
But I mean, at
no
the same
more winless
point,
teams.
You go look at his roster. It wasn't an 0-6 team. He just had some terrible luck.
Terrible luck. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, and there becomes a certain point where it's like, okay, clearly not going to win this year. How can I capitalize to at least get an advantage for next year? And I think that's in a lot of my leagues, that's what I struggle with, because in my dynasty right now, we have like 4 teams that are like openly tanking, and I'm pissed off. But you can't go look at their trades and say they're bad trades because they're picking up future draft picks.
Right.
So every trade has its different outlooks. Like your trade, Frank. I think you're an idiot for what you did, but you can tell me I'm an idiot because Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback in the league, and Lamar has not played as well since you traded him. So
and Jefferson scored 30 plus each game I've had him.
Exactly. So it is. If it's open collusion,
suck it, trade haters.
Open collusion. just disband the league. There's no point in just dealing with
Yeah,
that kind of
there's
crap.
no sense in that.
Too many people want to play fantasy, so go find some new fantasy friends.
Yeah. First of all, in your fantasy leagues, don't get a group with a bunch of randos. And Mark, I'm going to get to your question here in just a second. Appreciate you tuning in and asking questions. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. But like the most fun I have in a fantasy league is when it's our friends. Like we do live drafts together. You know, we all live in different states sometimes. They came in for our draft. We had a couple guys that weren't able to, but we had on a big screen, live where they are on a Google Meet call or a Zoom call or whatever. Everybody else is hanging in the basement drinking beer. And just bull crapping with each other. And then that's how like you're in a good fantasy league. You're like, nobody's going to screw everybody over and try to cheat because it's with your friends. And then if you do end up getting caught cheating, they're not going to be your friends anymore. So why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for it. But that's if you're in a league that's kind of toxic and you don't like them and you don't know people very well, it's really hard to make trades for one thing. And two, like you can talk smack, but it doesn't mean the same. Like it doesn't have the same feeling about it. So,
and I will say, I've been in leagues where, a friend brought me in to the league, and I didn't know anybody, and there was definitely like collusion going on. And don't be scared to leave the league. I think I was scared to leave that league for 1 or 2 years because I only had your guys' league in that league, and I loved playing fantasy football. And, there's other leagues out there. Go start your own league. Go play some random league. Don't just, I have 6 teams. I way too invested in fantasy football, but I love it. It's what I do during the week. It's what I listen to. And I would always say, if you're not having fun in your fantasy league, you're just doing it wrong. So get out of that league and play a different one.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about, different leagues, Dave is our dynasty guy. So we're going to have him hit up this trade he made. He traded Hopkins for ETN in his dynasty league. He thinks it's a huge dub. I would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
not knowing the composition of the team or the league, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at he is a rookie this year, right?
Technically.
No, I don't think he's eligible for like rookie awards, but yeah, it's the first time
he ain't played very much. He might have played did he even play a game last year?
No, he didn't play a game.
He got hurt the first game, I thought. Was it first game of the regular season?
Something like that. He didn't play at all last year, hardly. So technically, this is his first full year of football. So.
Yeah, but I mean,
good trade.
Like we already talked about it. James Robinson to the Jets. ETN is now a bell cow in what looks like a very capable Jaguars offense. You never know what you're going to get with Kyler Murray. So I love that trade.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is a guy I wanted to talk about on the show today as well. Wan'Dale Robinson, flex rest of the season. The answer for me is going to be yes.
Frank, your blues showing.
Look at my fantasy lineup. Who's in my flex spot, Dave? Wan'Dale. Yeah, the answer is yes. These other yahoos ain't even going to talk anymore.
I mean, he's considered. Yeah, you can consider him in the flex.
He's 5-6 catches a day, or if it's 5-6 catches a game. Touchdown chances, yes. Yards after catch, yes. Maybe not deep down the field yet, but we're getting there. Chad Poe, the fearless Chad Poe. Big Bears fan. Bears have scored 20 in the first half. I may cry. How many passes have they thrown, Chad?
I got the box score up right now. Hang on.
How many points does Dave Montgomery have so I can beat Dave's ass tonight?
He has like 2 points. You're still going to
Don't matter. Me. I'm still beating that ass, Dave.
It's a bye week. Get over yourself.
I have 2 of my best players on bye, Dave. I have A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson on a bye this week, and I'm beating you.
14 pass attempts.
New league record.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, for sure. Elver Gasso. Pretty cool name. Traded Miles Sanders for Travis Etienne. Thoughts? Travis Etienne is a big topic on tonight's show for sure. I don't think it's a terrible trade.
I like Etienne the rest of the season better. I would take the Etienne side of that.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Sanders has proven to be a capable back this year, but there was, his entire career has been, I would say, a lack of touchdowns. And I would say that's still going to be the tag, just because we've seen that, Jalen Hurts pretty much is RB1 on that team. And then you have Sanders. I'm blanking, Kenneth Gainwell. There's a third, I believe.
Boston Scott.
Yeah, Boston Scott. So it's like, he's a good back. He is the lead back, but he's still not RB1 on that team.
For sure.
And at this point in the season, strength of schedule becomes really important, because you're getting, we're just a month away from starting some fantasy playoffs. 6 weeks we're in there. So I think that ETN has a much better strength of schedule, especially looking at the playoffs. There's some good defenses in that NFC East that Sanders has to play.
Yeah. Got quite a few people watching today or at this particular time. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We answer your questions live on the air if you have them. Elver, we appreciate the comment, man. Appreciate it. CZG Average. This is kind of a fun question. He says, guess my record. PPR, 14-man. QB is Russ. RB1 is Derrick Henry. RB2 is Aaron Jones. Pittman, Sutton, Curtis Samuel at the flex. Tight end is Everett. You have the Bucks D and McManus as the kicker. I'm going to say you're below 500, my guy.
Yeah.
14. That's a 14-man league, though. I mean, that changes a little bit.
It does.
What is it? This week 7?
So 3-4.
Yeah, I'll say you'll be 4-3 after this week.
3-4. Let us know.
Henry,
Dave, you got a guess?
I'm going 2-5.
Ooh. All right. Average, let us know, man. 1-6.
Oh.
Ooh. Hey, Monet knows you're feeling. Hey, listen, Monet's right here. You guys need to get together. Have a 1-6 support group. It's not. I mean, you didn't get goose egged. You didn't get skunked. So do you have? Look on the bright side. Like Monet, he won this week. We're going to get to this statement in a minute, but he won this week. He's on the board. He's on a win streak. It's win 1 in the green next to his name. He needs trades, man. It's been a rough season. Here's the thing that you talk about trades. We talked about this before on our past episodes. Don't be afraid to give up your big names to get a couple of smaller names that can do well. If you think about it, the guys that have been acquired in trades throughout, the period of our season so far, Travis Etienne, big trade guy, Breece Hall, a lot of trades involving him. Guys like Daniel Jones, guys like who else? Pittman and Rashad Bateman, who hasn't done much lately, but we was really high on him at the beginning of the year. Who else am I missing? That some of those lower tier guys, those middle round draft picks that nobody thought would have a big role, but now they do. That are
Josh
people are
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is another
trying
one.
to get him.
Don't be afraid to give up some bigger pieces of because you're 1-6. What do you got to lose, right? Especially if it's a redraft league. Hell, sell, start acquiring stuff, and you never know what happens. Somebody might hit. Injuries happen. Breece Hall happens. Trades happen. James Robinson. So you never know, man.
I do think it's really hard this time of season to trade because values are really pretty established. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to do the trade that, like ETN wasn't coming back to me in that trade if we make it today. No, it probably would have never happened. So I think this point in the season, it is really difficult, especially if, teams like you're 1-6, why would I want players? Because people get that mindset. They don't look at how many you're scoring, but it's hard to trade. You're halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I say my opinion for average here is, I look at Aaron Jones, Michael Pittman, and Curtis Samuel as kind of those guys that aren't top tier guys, but you could still get solid players back for them. Those would be the ones I would look at to trade. Go get a new quarterback. That's your biggest weakness right now.
That was his next question. He says, biggest weakest spots. Quarterback number 1, Russ sucks. Is he going to be good ever again? We don't know. I hope so, but this year it ain't happened.
Wow.
Why would you? I mean, it's sad seeing the quarterbacks you grew up watching not play well.
Russ just isn't. He's not the same. He's different, man. Like he's a quarterback, and I think it's really hard to do this. He's done it in the NFL. I've never felt like anybody on his team really liked him.
Oh, I've heard things from just recently of Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch talking about like if you wanted to get a phone call with him, like you had to go through his agent.
Like that's not a quarterback.
I'm gonna need you guys to call my agent next time you want to text me, so I can make sure I put you in my schedule.
All right, I'll text Lindsay.
Yeah, go ahead. She
And the
makes all the rules.
cheesiness, like closing out every press conference with catchphrases and
Broncos country, let's ride.
I got nothing for Russ saying. I hope he makes it out of this. Like whatever.
All right, also we're finally getting to your comment about the gambling side of things. I wish that sports gambling was legal in Kentucky bigger than anything, but it's not. Will it be eventually? I don't know. It's a politics thing here. Everybody around us, we're we're on the island now. Dave is our gambling guy.
If you want to call me
gambling, by gambling guy, he bets like $4 or $5 a day,
and I lose every time.
It's funny, like a couple months ago, we were talking about when the Reds were starting off their season terribly in the major leagues, and every time Dave betted against the Reds, that's when they won for like a month straight.
It was literally I lost like $20 just betting dollars that the Reds would lose,
and that's when they would win.
I almost got them to 500.
Yeah, we got to 500 at one point, but then it kind of fell off after that. But yeah, daily fantasy sports is a way that we can get kind of like that gambling feeling throughout the week. But that's about it for us, unless you do it. There's ways around it. Obviously, people in Kentucky sports gamble. They do all that thing. We have horse racing, which makes no freaking sense to me why we can't gamble on sports as well. But it is what it is, man. It's a money thing. It's a taxable thing. And for some people, it's a moral thing. I'm not going to get into that. But I would love to gamble during the Sundays. Like, that'd be awesome. All right. So we've seen D-Hop come back and get hyper-targeted, really hurt Rondale Moore. Was this just getting D-Hop integrated, or has Rondale lost some value?
Rondale was playing out of position. Rondale is a slot guy. They lost Hollywood, and Robbie Anderson was not, up to speed, ready to go. So I think when Robbie Anderson comes back, Rondale gets a little better, but he's not going to lead that team in targets. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and Kyler has not been his best self this year. You still got Ertz there. Anderson's going to get a couple long bombs every game. Whether he catches them or not, we don't know.
That's kind of his career. That's what he made his career out of.
Yeah. I don't think that D-Hop in that game hurt Rondale. I think him having to play outside is why you didn't see much out of him this week.
Makes sense. Acquiring football mind over there. Jacob Coop Connor. Question from YouTube. Daniel Baheshti says, how should I trade Higbee and Reynolds for Zeke? I have Andrews as tight end, but my best running back is Deontay Foreman.
Hey, great pickup. Great pickup. I picked him up in a couple of leagues this week. That was a nice 115-yard game for the guy. Yeah. I was a little worried about Chuba. Hope he comes back healthy, but hey, Deontay Foreman, great waiver wire stash, buddy.
And Gus Edwards, big week. I grabbed him this week before the game's kicked off after Dobbins' injury, and it's looking like he's going to be the workhorse, or as close as you can get in Baltimore to being a workhorse.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know. What's your record? I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. I mean, if you got good receivers, yeah, why not? Is Higbee and Reynolds starting in your lineup? Because if they're not starting and you're getting Zeke, then that's a no-brainer for me.
I would say Higbee's probably a starting tight end.
He's got Andrews.
Yes, Andrews, Dave. Read the sentence. No, Higbee is not starting.
Flex guy. He's a flex guy.
No. Reynolds has some value. I don't trust it fully, honestly. I did pick him up just to say kind of have him, just in case. But like I don't have anybody he would start over unless it's a bye week for sure. So yeah, make the trade, dude.
I'm completely blanking right here. Josh Reynolds, Detroit wide receiver, right? That's who we're talking about.
Yeah. I would
assume. That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I definitely go Zeke. Something on Reynolds, I think we see Jameson Williams before too long. And if he's healthy, I believe the talent is superior to Reynolds. All just had the concussion. He might be out. So Jameson could come right in and take a target share if healthy.
So yeah, take it. We're not big. I'm not a big Zeke fan either, but if you got another running back spot, hell, I mean, he's going to give you a touchdown or two. So
Yep.
yeah, and Weaver has a good point. He's got a really good schedule.
So he's really turned the page the past couple of weeks. Pollard was really taking a lot of snaps from him early in the year, but I feel like the little bit I have watched of the Cowboys, Zeke has settled it more into the getting 75% of the snaps rather than splitting. So
He says y'all are hilarious. Appreciate it, man. We don't really try to be as funny. It's just the way we talk normally to each other. The manager also has Ramondre and Pollard. I think Ramondre is a big pickup right now if we can get him. Like we said, Dave just talked about Pollard. Zeke's still going to be the guy for the most part. Pollard's going to get some carries here and there, but if you can get Ramondre, I think that'd be a big pickup because Harris is coming off an injury. He is playing tonight, right?
Yeah, he's got 3 carries for 8 yards.
Yeah, so see, either they're easing him in or they're pushing him out.
Or they're also behind too, so they're
but it's still like that check down game would be there.
Yeah.
Who's winning that game? I'm not even watching it.
Bears 23, Patriots 14.
Is Bailey Zappi still playing?
I'm not watching. I'm just checking box score.
Yep, same.
All righty, Phils. Dave, anything else on that list we need to hit up really quick?
No, the only other one I was going to hit on was Amon-Ra St. Brown. And because it came out today that he didn't have a concussion, but the new concussion protocols, the on-site non-team doctor pulled him off the field and took his helmet because he was stumbling around. So, that one was a huge fantasy implication for me. In one of my leagues, I had, Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp on bye, and I was ecstatic to get Amon-Ra back into my starting lineup, only to get, 1 point. So my question to you guys is, do you think this concussion protocol, do you think it's a good thing, or
yes,
do you think it's kind of pointless?
It's a good thing because we talked about already. Teams have, when we're talking about fantasy, you'd be like, oh, shit, the dude, he's played half a quarter, now he's out because he got hit in the head a little hard. We're mad about it, but think about the families of the people that are getting hit in the head. They're not mad about it. They're still getting paid either way. So, if they can prolong their career in any sort of way, you can act like you're mad about it when you're a player because obviously they want to be competitive, they want to play, or they wouldn't be in that position to begin with. But in the back of their mind, they know, except for Tua apparently, they know that they need to be careful and then take the head injury thing pretty serious because not only is the CTE thing becoming big when we have all these NFL players passing away and then they do an autopsy and that turns out they have CTE, but also when you're using your head and hitting the head, that is directly connected to your spinal cord. We already see Ryan Shazier, that kind of problem. You're inches away from being paralyzed your whole life. So If they're trying to take the head and neck out of the game, I think it's a good thing. I don't like the fact that it does weaken the game a little bit defensively. You're kind of handcuffed in a way that you can't play defense like you could anymore. And that may be the reason why these athletes are better athletes than they were back in the day. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's a bad thing for the player. It's a bad thing for the fans and fantasy players because we want to watch them play and we want to win. But we don't matter. We don't matter. So
I don't think it's even bad. It's unfortunate in a week where you miss a player, but I think you talk about longevity of that player. You're going to have more fantasy seasons out of a guy, more seasons on the field out of a guy as a fan, if the league errs on the side of caution. I don't think the league is doing it for the right reasons. I think they're doing it because, we messed up.
We don't want to get sued later on.
Yeah. We don't want that to happen again. I don't think that their goal here is truly 100% player safety. But I love the rule. I'm all for it. we played football. I've got up before and not known which sideline was mine. Like, I've had those hits, not to that degree. Obviously, I wasn't getting hit by NFL players. I'm just saying, it's scary. You think about, we've all got kids now. Like, God, I loved football. I went to, had the opportunity to go play in college, and I don't know if I want my kids to play football. Like, it's one of those sports where one wrong hit, like you just said, and it's completely different life. So I all for anything player safety. Yeah, the quarterbacks. Oh, if you fall on Brady's shoelaces, it's a flag. Well, Brady's probably worth more money than any other player in the NFL. Like, you want to protect your assets, but you also want to protect the health of your employees.
Yeah. And what gets lost in the sauce a little bit around here, and for a fandom's sake, and I feel this way too, is you feel like the NFL's gotten soft. The NFL is no longer a game, ladies and gentlemen. It is a business through and through. So they are there to make money and make money only. If you think they're there to entertain, they are, but it's not about the game within the game anymore. They're trying to make money. If a team is losing, they're mad they're losing because they are not getting money from ticket sales. They're not mad because they're just losing. If they still made the same amount of money and still lost, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. So the NFL is a business, and they're going to make business decisions. So at that point, we can't fault them as fans to make these rules, although it sucks for us to watch that crap sometimes. But we still watch it. Like, we're not going to just stop.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to stop. They can put flags on, we still watch them.
And that's what upsets me, because I want Amon-Ra St. Brown on the field. If they're saying he doesn't have a concussion, don't pull him out. But for me, it is a business, and in order to have a good business, you have to put the best product on the field. And I don't know if you guys watched. Oh shoot, I'm blanking. The Detroit Lions HBO Max show this year.
Hard Knocks.
Every time you watch them practice, what were they wearing? They're wearing the pillow over the helmet. If that is such a game changer for practice and avoiding concussions,
10%.
But wear it in a game. If it's 10% more protection, wear it in a game. Who cares?
I agree 100%.
If it's their livelihoods at stake, then why even take the chance? Take that extra 10%. Somebody will make it look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
In it. I don't know what we're wrong about pee poo poo, but I wanted to put your name up here because it's awesome. I don't know who you're calling wrong. It's probably me. I don't care, but you got an all-star YouTube name. Pee pee poo poo.
I don't know what exactly goes into concussion protocol. If it's a questionnaire, like, football players want to play,
they're going to say yes.
You're going to have a guy take themselves out. So if you're in doubt of a player's answers, that's totally understandable. So I get what you're saying. They ruled it not a concussion, but I don't know what goes into the protocol, and I would rather keep a kid out that may have it, or a man. I call him a kid. He's probably like 24.
Boys, do you remember Blue Mountain State?
I've never watched it.
Oh, it's a great show, Coop.
Oh, Coop, you got to watch it.
Great show.
But one of the episodes was concussion protocol.
Don't say the C word.
And you failed. It's literally a test. You sit on a computer, and it takes you like 30 minutes. But it's an actual test, and it times your reactions and your answers, whether it's correct or not. And so you get a baseline when you aren't concussed, and then if you get a concussion, you have to take it again. And it is a well-known fact. Hey, you probably don't want to score the best if you want to come back a little bit sooner. So I'm right there with you. Blue Mountain State made a joke about it, but I 100% think that's a real thing that probably still goes on today.
Yeah, for sure. Caden, the Colts fan. I'm sorry you're a Colts fan. How do you feel about Sam Ehlinger being your starting quarterback? Our boy Caden. Golf picture in the YouTube profile. I like it. I'm a golfer myself. If you like what you hear, you should subscribe to the channel while you're at it. We talk a little golf every now and then. I lost Brees, and I'm down to Henry, Madison, Pacheco, and Hubbard. Should I trade? And he says Taylor owner says he's available, and I also have Jefferson, Lamb, Allen, and Godwin I can throw in. Don't trade Jefferson. That's stupid. Why would you trade Justin Jefferson, Coop?
I'm
Anyway.
happy with it.
I am too, honestly. I don't know, man. I don't think you can get by with Henry, Madison, and Pacheco and Hubbard as your starters. Henry, you can get by with probably. I would probably go after another running back at least.
Yeah,
maybe not
I
with that.
agree.
Maybe not even with that specific team. Like we've already talked about Travis Etienne being a go-to target. Josh Jacobs would be a go-to target. You could probably get fairly cheap. Who else do you guys think?
I don't think you can. Those players aren't cheap anymore. I think that's what I was saying earlier. It's hard.
Yeah, you're right.
It's hard to see a guy at this point in the season. I'm like, oh, I think he has huge upside from this point on, but nobody sees it yet. This game, I think Josh called it out earlier. It looks like Herbert was getting a little more work. Maybe I
got both of them, but I always start the wrong one.
I don't know if who the upside running back is for the rest of the season at this point. It's really difficult for me. That's like the hardest question I could answer. What are your thoughts?
Well, in my opinion, the running back position right now, it's shifted tremendously from the beginning of the year. Like we had the rookies that were, down, we needed to draft him in this spot. This time we had him picked. Like we knew who he was going to go after for the rookie running backs. But like injuries have happened. Jonathan Taylor hasn't lived up to expectations. Leonard Fournette hasn't done much. Austin Eckler had a rough couple of first weeks. Now he's kind of turned it back on. So the top guys that you had planned to pick didn't start off well, but now they are. And the guys that you picked to play well right away haven't. We had the CMC trade. He wasn't doing like fantastic. The Panthers sucked. He got volume because the Panthers sucked and they didn't have anybody else to give the ball to. And now, do you see his overall volume go down, but fantasy production go up? We don't know. It's like the running back position right now in the NFL is the hardest thing to talk about because it changes week to week. Like last week or the week before last, when Montgomery came back, he was the dude. Like day one, he was the dude. Herbert barely got in, and he barely got on the field. Last week, it was kind of 50-50. This week, it seems like Herbert's getting the money. Like, how do you play those guys? I'm not watching it. I'm just basing it on what people are saying in the chat.
I think that's a good call. So high volume guys that are underperforming, basically Najee, Leonard Fournette. I think Dalvin Cook still has a lot of people disappointed. So maybe try to go for one of those guys where the numbers aren't there right now, fantasy production wise, but the volume and the potential for the offense on those teams could get better. Kenny Pickett could find a little bit of stride. We could see a flash of Brady from last year. Minnesota's had good weeks and bad weeks. You've already got Madison, so Dalvin Cook is a little more valuable to you, I guess, if you have that handcuff. Some people say the other way. But maybe try to target one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Weaver's hitting back on our conversation about the concussion thing. He says they get paid millions to play a game, not to get too political, but police officer type of job. Or many more risk, much more for pennies. I agree with that 100%. I don't think you would find anybody to disagree with that. Let them hit. They know what they signed up for. I think if it were up to the players, they'd do that. But also, police departments don't generate billions of dollars for the owners of their teams. That's kind of the difference there. I wish they did. That 100%. I think first responders should get paid way more than professional athletes, but that's just not the world we live in. But that's why that's the case. It's a business. People join the police department because they feel like it's in their need to serve and protect, and people get in the NFL because they have good genetics sometimes. That's kind of the way it works.
Yeah, and there is no comparison. Police understand 100%. Way more risk involved, not near enough compensation. 1,000% agree. But in the sense of protecting the employees in those industries, you have the same thing. You're constantly trying to see improvements into protecting those police officers, their well-being. There's conversations. I don't know if it's actually happening about increasing education, and they have their body armor and protocols. So I think, again, there is no comparison. Police work is much more high risk and not rewarded enough, not praised enough. But in both instances, that institution is just trying to protect the people they have working within it.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Never thought of it that way. Yeah, Monet says you got to protect players from themselves. Sometimes players are investments. Yeah. Caden has a lot of comments on here. He's talking about how he has it. We talked about him making trades. He asks if Mac is on the trade block. I don't know. It's up in the air for me. I wouldn't have him on my team. If you're talking about trade block in general, in terms of him being on the Patriots and then him maybe not being on the Patriots later on, I think that's a possibility. Weaver, we're going to talk about Herbert. If you want to have a down-home, unbiased opinion on Justin Herbert, talk to Lindsey Spencer. She'll tell you about how much she loves Justin Herbert on her fantasy team. I've never heard that woman cuss more than last week when she needed like 10 points to win her game and she had Justin Herbert left to play, and I was like, you're going to win. She won by 0.13 points. And it happened at the last like possible minute of the game too.
Wins a win.
She's not real happy with Herbert and his performance, and for good reason. Joe Burrow is finally coming into his own. I'm going to show my Homer spirit here. I'm a Bengals fan, just in case you viewers did not know. Dave, shut up. In case you did not know, the Bengals are actually playing well. The three receivers and tight end Hayden Hurst, if you want to pick him up now because he's guaranteed 5+ targets a game at this point. Touchdown potential is low, but what else are you going to get out of a tight end these days? You need targets, you need yards. He's going to get them in first downs. So if you're looking for a tight end, Hayden Hurst is a good pickup. But you're not going to find three better receivers on a football team. Yeah. He says Zach Taylor's getting out of the way. You're right. He's letting Joe Burrow play, and then Joe Burrow's had time to throw the football lately. He got sacked a couple times this past weekend, but you notice on the big bomb plays, he can stand there, look, and then get rid of the football.
And they're beating elite talents. I mean,
yes.
Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
They had, a quarter of Tua, Joe Flacco. These are top tier.
The best of the best.
These wins against.
Excuse me. I'm going to have this argument with you. And I have this argument with my brother-in-law all the time. You talk about the NFL, right? And the Major League Baseball. Then you talk about the NBA. If you are in any of those leagues, you are the top 1% of athletes in that respective field of play.
Yeah.
There's no question. Dave, that's not even true. There's no It's true.
There is. There is a shade.
If you're in the NFL, you're in the top 1% of football players in the world.
Yes.
If you're in the NBA.
If you're seeing playing time on an NFL field.
If you're on a roster, they cut people to keep you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're better than the people they cut.
Yeah. Maybe.
There's no maybe. It's true.
So what are you going on?
There's no argument.
What do you have after that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
continue.
We talk about this crap all the time. NFL players are the top football players in the world, period. You're not going to be able to go to Europe and find them.
Actually, they are.
Not many. You get punters from Australia. That's about it.
Okay.
The only thing I will rebuke on this one was, I forget his name, but the Kansas City Chiefs went and pulled a former quarterback who was 45 from coaching his high school football team to sign him because of, he knew the offense and the guys liked him. I don't think he was in the top 1% of NFL players when he was on a roster. I would disagree. I would say if he actually went into a football game, he probably would have been just destroyed by Aaron Donald or, something. I think the 1%, we have some elite college guys that you could probably say, but they might be there already. You could say Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, they're pretty damn elite at LSU.
I
And
agree with that.
LSU won because of them. So,
Yeah, and now
you
they're
could
in the NFL.
say,
They're a part of
but
the
they
1%.
weren't. But they weren't.
But they always, most of the time,
Of
they win.
eligible players.
Well, what's
Yeah,
eligible mean? I should be eligible.
You are,
Yeah.
and you're not top of the 1%, Dave.
Agreed.
I'm eligible too. I
Hey,
ain't
give
get
me
no
8
phone
months.
call.
Give me 8 months. I can
Robert
figure it
Kraft,
out.
hit me up. Robert Kraft.
Interesting choice.
Anybody need a 350-pound long snapper? I got you. I ain't covering punts though. I'll block.
I mean, I could learn how to hold a kick.
No, you could.
Oh,
I get what you're saying, that if they're in the NFL, they're an absolutely outstanding world-class football player. But there is definitely there's tiers. I mean, we talk about tiers in preseason rankings.
Oh, 100%.
So these guys aren't the same tier as what you would traditionally classify a elite or great quarterback as. That's all I was getting at. I agree. They're 1% talent and they're 1% football skill level players, but there's still a big gap between that top.
And you're also I'm also, talking about guys that have played in the NFL as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you think about the NBA, for example, when you talk about like guys in the NBA are the top 1% basketball players in the world, you can argue like EuroLeague basketball is very competitive. Like foreign basketball is great. But like if they were in the top 1%, why would they not be on an NBA team eventually or have been before? I know they draft and stash players all the time, but like those guys playing overseas, eventually, if they're good enough, an NBA team's going to give them a shot. Does that make sense? That's kind of where I was getting at. I don't even know what started that conversation. I can't remember.
Because the Bengals are beating up on a bunch of 40-year-old quarterbacks that are washed up.
Yeah, that's what it was. Don't matter, baby. NFL wins win. So you're going to say, and I ain't going to say that. Y'all going to get mad at me. Dulcich. Is that how you pronounce that name, Weaver? Or is it Dulcich?
Dulcich, I believe.
Dulcich.
Dulcich.
Was that the guy that signed off the practice squad?
No, he was drafted. He's a rookie for the Broncos.
But he wasn't on the main roster, was he?
I believe so. He was
starting
just behind. He was behind Albert Okwuegbunam.
Hey, that's a great effort at that name. This will be the last question of the night. Maybe. No, Brock has a question. Brock will get your question in a minute. From YouTube, Dulcich. Yeah. With Jerry Jeudy trade discussion aside, Jeudy or Sutton rest of the season?
I'm Sutton. I just don't believe this is just a personal thing. I just don't think Jerry Jeudy is as good as, for some reason, our community thinks he is.
I'm not playing a receiver with Russell Wilson as our quarterback.
Oh, I'd play Sutton. I've got no problem. I think he's the number one guy. I think the volume he does get definitely makes him valuable. But I just don't think Jerry Jeudy is he's not in that tier. He's got the talent, right? He's in the NFL, but I don't think he's as good as a lot of receivers. He kind of overhyped. We've never seen anything great out of him except for a random catch.
Which I think, from our standpoint, if you own Jerry Jeudy, you're praying to God he gets traded. You want that James Robinson deal where he finally gets out of it. Well, yeah,
that's where he's been rumored. You don't want him to go to the Dolphins.
No, but I'm with Coop. Cortland Sutton is 6'4". He is a guy that can go up and get the ball.
He's a 1%er, Bills.
And with that quarterback situation, whether it's Russ or Ripon or whatever his name is, I like Sutton better than Jerry Jeudy.
We don't even know these quarterbacks' names right now, Phil.
I really don't know how to say his name.
Yeah,
pick him up.
Ripon.
Waiver wire pickup.
Hey, I did pick him up in my Dynasty League as my QB2 starter.
What's his first name?
Brent.
Brett.
Yeah.
All right, Brock. Fellas, would you trade Mixon Ramondre for Eckler full PPR?
Yes, 100%. Do it now.
Both. You would do both? Mixon and Ramadre.
Yeah.
If you have another solid running back to start,
That's my question. If you had another good one,
Eckler's
if you
on
could-
paper 129 receptions this year.
yeah. If you compare Eckler with another top
24.
hell, I was
Somebody.
thinking not even
Right.
top 10 quarter. I was going to say top 15.
Yeah.
But if you compare Eckler with a top 15 running back, that's a solid running back room. Brock, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're there, buddy.
Is Eckler RB1 yet?
I don't know. I don't have my. I think Saquon still got him.
Nope.
In total.
He is. PPR, he is.
He's got Ken Walker, Coop,
Oh yeah.
Oh, do it.
and
Pull it.
Pollard, and Brian Robinson, and Rashad Watt.
Yeah.
Hammer
Go get RB1. Go get RB1.
All right, PJ Monroe from YouTube says, I traded Amon-Ra St. Brown for Mike Evans. Did I win the trade?
I don't know.
I like St. Brown better, but Evans is healthy.
He had
So-
Brees too, by the way. Brock did. He had Brees all. Damn, it sucks for you, dude.
Yeah. So I'll probably go Evans at this point. Jared Goff really bad last week. I don't know. His
The
old
thing about-
self is
he's-
showing.
He's inconsistent right now.
Yeah. And I would say Frank hit me with some knowledge when I was badgering him for trading away Lamar.
What?
And I was talking crap about Daniel Jones. You know, I love Amon-Ra. I'm invested in him. It is burning me. Mike Evans does not look great right now, but Mike is going to win this trade because he is going to get you consistent points every week. Amon-Ra is going to have a big week or two, but I think Evans is going to have the more consistent points in a, I don't know, both are in pretty, the offenses are not stable on both teams right now. So it's going to be interesting, but I would bet that Mike Evans is going to have more points at the end of the year after this trade.
Yeah. And I think they're both top 12 receivers for me rest of the season. Like, that's how I would see them. They're must starts. So you're not getting a bad receiver.
Yeah. And week to week, winning week to week is most important. So you want to, solidify your points per week as much as you can. We think we do that with Mike Evans over St. Brown over the next few weeks. Brock, appreciate the sub, dude. Weaver says get 1%er t-shirts with the Trifecta logo. May get beat up for being a poser. Maybe. I don't know. If we do hit 100 subscribers, your boy is making hats, and I'm sending them to Dave in Illinois, and I'm giving Coop one. And Weaver, you're getting one too. I don't know when I'm going to order them, but get us to 100 subscribers, and we'll get merch. We might give it away. You never know. Well, fellas, it's almost 11 o'clock Eastern time. Any last... Oh, I forgot a trade. My bad. Drizzy Jake. Awesome YouTube name. Appreciate it. Comment. I knew I had another one. I lost it in the stream of things. Would you do Tua and Lockett for Higgins? He already has Mahomes at quarterback.
Yes.
I like it.
Is Lockett hurt?
Dave, your thinking face cracks me up.
Yeah, mine it does that.
I don't know. That's a good question, Dave.
Oh, here he is.
I
would
see an
not.
injury status.
I would not. DK went down this week. I know they said. I think they said they got.
Oh, we
some
didn't
good
talk
news,
about DK. Crap, he's on my
That's a good
fantasy team.
call.
How did I not talk about him?
but DK's out for at least a week or so. So I like Lockett with Geno balling more than I like Higgins being wide receiver 2.
Wide receiver 3 last week.
Higgins had a ton of Q's next to his name this year. Like, we played a game, he gets 10 snaps. He played this week, was supposed to be healthy, and maybe he was. Like, he hit a game, but I don't know. Had the concussion early on, so a safer play, maybe Lockett. I think T. Higgins is the better wide receiver.
The problem is there's so many mouths to feed in Cincinnati, and what happens is, and I'm a Cincinnati fan, so I know that. I watch the games from start to finish every week. What happens is defenses try to shut down one player, and it's usually Chase, and it leaves open Tyler Boyd. It leaves over Higgins. It leaves open Higgins. It leaves open Hayden Hurst sometimes, and mixing out of the backfield gets a lot of touches as well. So what happens is you try to shut down one player and then opens up for another. So if Jamar Chase is 1-on-1, the ball is going to Jamar Chase every time. But Higgins and Tyler Boyd doesn't get as much attention. So it's easier to get the ball to Tyler Boyd in big plays and big time situations, and he's sure-handed. So it's 3rd down and 5+. Burrow's going to look for Tyler Boyd over T. Higgins because T. Higgins is the home run guy. He's the the deep out route, the guy that sits down in the middle of the zone type guy, running after the catch type guy. That's who you get with T. Higgins. But yeah, it's hard to gauge what Higgins can do because he's hit or miss because there's so many weapons there. PJ's got a couple questions here. He says, "Do you think Swift will play this week?"
Well, I'll tell you, I like to gamble, and I always lose my bets. And I would bet he's not going to play.
Take that for what you will, PJ. I don't know if that helped you or not, but Dave says he gambles a lot. He loses a lot of bets, but he's betting he's playing. And Coop says no. Always have backup plans, fellas. When you guys are worried about a running back, don't oversleep, especially if you got a London game. Don't oversleep. I've done that.
Hey, we have Germany this week, don't we?
Is it this week?
It's coming up.
Is it Germany this week? I think it's London this week. Because it's the Jaguars and the Broncos. I don't know how the Broncos get these games. I have no idea. Yeah, so like
maybe they can somehow lose Russ when they're over there. Maybe he just doesn't
pull a Lane Kiffin and leave him. Just go off of that and just leave him there. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, it's always a wise if you have guys that are coming off injuries or who may be injured or always questionable. Look at the the injury reports for each team individually. Don't trust what you see on Twitter from people that don't know what they're talking about on Twitter. Go to the website, look at the injury reports. They will tell you all you need to know. And also, go ahead and start making some changes in your lineup if you have to. And then at the last minute, 12:50 rolls around and you think he's playing. You got it on the TV. He's warming up. Throw him in there. PJ also says, should I be worried about Debo? We talked about Debo earlier. I don't think you're worried about Debo. If anything, he's going to get more opportunities to catch the ball, which in PPR format is what you want. You don't want him running the ball.
Yeah.
If anything, it opens up more of the defense for other players in the 49ers. So we talk about Kittle being more available, Debo, Ayuk, and then even Jeff Wilson had a good game last week too.
The only thing we know about the 49ers is that they have the best receiving running back in the NFL. They have the best rushing wide receiver in the NFL, and we have no idea what the hell they're going to do.
And they have Kyle Juszczyk.
I mean, everybody on that team is a weapon in like 3 different ways. I'm not worried about Debo.
You kind of look like a college. Dave, well, we're going to
No. Don't even do it.
We're going to pull it up here, Dave.
Don't even do it. Don't even do it.
Go Avalanche. Dave's the St. Louis Blues fan. Me and Coop are diehard Predators fans, right, Coop?
Whoa, no. Minnesota Wild. Krill's Thrill and his fake military ID.
For some reason, we decided to get into hockey while we're on this podcast. I don't know why.
Welcome. You're welcome. I got you guys in.
It was during the Stanley Cup playoffs while we were like in the heart of this podcast thing, and Dave, we talked a lot of hockey on this podcast, and me and Coop had no idea what was going on. Dave knew everything. Dave carried the show for a little while, but we had a lot of fun, picking hockey teams and making those decisions based on nothing that we already knew. I couldn't name one player on the Minnesota Wild, but I'm a Minnesota Wild, not a Minnesota Wild. Damn it.
Which is it, Frank? Which is it?
Nashville Predators. Nashville Predators.
Thank you all for
Josh.
We're going to get Frank to bed.
Yeah, I got to go to bed. I got to work in the morning.
But I resent that Avalanche comment. They didn't even play tonight. The St. Louis Blues just got shut out. I really resent that comment. That's
David, are you wearing your Blues hat too?
No, we're going to the Manders game Sunday, so we always got to rock the Manders.
So you're calling them the Manders now?
Yeah, we're going with it. That's better than the commies. You gotta if you want them to be good, you gotta respect
You
them.
slimy little reptile, you mander.
Hey,
Salamander's an amphibian.
hey, Jim Irsay is my hero right now, and
Oh,
I might go
man.
kiss him on the lips if he gets Dan Snyder kicked out of the league.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Dan Snyder in a while.
Well,
One of our best.
that's
Y'all know one of our best ever performing videos on YouTube was when we talked about the commies. We talked about Dan Snyder. We talked about Jack Del Rio and how stupid he was. And
Yeah.
people hated us on YouTube for that.
yeah, Dan Snyder's
They called us
God.
snowflakes and all that crap. Oh, he did. I'm like, dude, shut up. Keep clicking our video. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
It's provocative. Gets people going.
You can explain it to me offline, but I have no idea. If somebody called me that, I would be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?"
What, Mander?
Like,
Dave, I can't call him the Manders, dude. It's not happening for me.
Well, what do you
I was
go? What are
talking
you gonna
about
call him?
Snowflake.
Oh. You really know what that means? You don't have social media, so it don't matter. You just got a Twitter like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
He only looks at fantasy football stuff.
He follows
100%.
only fantasy football people and us.
And Carolina basketball.
Hey, Baycott is a preseason All-American.
Oh. Let's just
So is
stop.
Sheboy.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to shut down the show right here. We're an hour and 21 minutes and 12 seconds in. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so now. We are on our quest for 100, and once we get to 100, guess what? We're going to be on our quest for 200. But last time I checked, we were at 85 before the show started. Don't know where we're at right now. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. We love all of the interaction that you give to us. Shout out to Josh Weaver and Jane Hayes was on the show earlier today without Coop. Ask where you were, Coop. So Jane's probably in the bed right now. What do you think, Dave?
Mhm. Yeah, she's definitely asleep.
I actually did a park interview with Jane this week about the show. We ran into each other out on
She
the
told
town.
me. She told me.
Yeah. And we got a
I saw her.
episode
I saw her the
idea
other
that
day
we'll be
too. I don't
working
know
on.
where were we.
She's everywhere.
She did give me
Yeah.
a suggestion that I support, and we'll probably work on that special episode in the future.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. Yeah, I don't remember where it was though, but we were somewhere. We had that same conversation. She's still here.
Yeah.
Oh, she's still awake. Good for you,
She's
Mom.
still awake.
Go to bed.
All right, Miss Jane, we're going to bed now. I actually have work to do before I go to bed, so there's that. But I'm here, blowing time on a podcast for an hour and a half. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We love you. Forgot to do this before the show started, but we're going to do it now. Peace.